one of the 220 rockets that Hezbollah has fired at northern Israel in the last 5 days. It looks like Israel is just
he is
firing
reporting on the ground. Hang on. He is reporting on the ground about Lebanon, just to be fair. But I hear your point. I hear your point. I hear your point about how Israel is also being attacked.
We have a million people under fire from Hezbollah tonight. A million people. All right. Hezbollah is a branch of Iran. So Hezbollah is taking over part of the missile fire at Israel. Israel will take whatever measures it needs to take to defend itself. And that, if that includes a ground invasion, it includes a ground invasion.
One of the most impressive speakers of our generation is the great Michael Oren. He's a former ambassador of Israel to the United States. Here he is talking to a CNN reporter who's taking on terribly anti-Israel, one-sided positions against the war against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Let's listen to what he has to say about this. And of course, I want to hear what you have to say about this. So don't forget to leave your comments below, subscribe to this channel, and we'll talk to you on the other end of the video.
We just heard that reporting from our colleague Matthew Chance. We know that an Israeli military spokesperson was asked if Israel was preparing a large-scale ground invasion into Lebanon. He responded, all options remain on the table. I'm curious what you see as the next steps for Israel in all of this.
Good to be with you, Jessica. Let me just first comment on Matthew Chance's report, a very lengthy report, which somehow did not mention once one of the 220 rockets that Hezbollah has fired at northern Israel in the last 5 days. That has displaced thousands of people, wounded dozens, killed. I mean, if you don't do that, you have not done your job as a reporter. It looks like he is
reporting on the ground. Hang on. He is reporting on the ground about Lebanon, just to be fair. But I hear your point. I hear your point. I hear your point about how Israel is also being attacked.
We have a million people under fire from Hezbollah tonight. A million people. All right. Hezbollah is a branch of Iran. Iran maybe is running low on missiles. We don't know. We've had to run to our shelter 10 times today. Okay, these are missiles still firing, but they've divided it up. So Hezbollah is taking over part of the missile fire at Israel. Israel will take whatever measures it needs to take to defend itself. And that, if that includes a ground invasion, it includes a ground invasion. If your family was being shot at 10, 20 times a day by very large rockets that can blow apart your house, believe me, you'd want your army to do exactly the same thing.
Right. And so, okay, so let's just take it down one notch for a second, because I do want to have a discussion about this.
Yes.
Because this war is spreading, as we've said. It started with the strikes on Iran, and obviously Hezbollah is an Iran proxy. It has been funded by Iran, supported by Iran. But it does, as Matthew was making the point there, affect civilians there in Lebanon, also in Israel. And so I'll ask you again what you see as Israel's next step. I hear you on you're open to a ground invasion if that's what it needs to be. But what do you see strategically as Israel's next step?
Well, first we say we have no beef with the people of Lebanon. We want to have peace with the people of Lebanon. And if you notice that your reporter received a warning twice to remove from an area that was about to be struck, that is a gesture, a privilege which these people of Israel do not get from Hezbollah. They're not telling us when to evacuate. They're trying to kill the maximum number of civilians. So yes, Israel will have on the table all possible options, including from the air, including from the ground.
And so what do you think in terms of this war escalating? We have now seen it spread also to the Gulf states. Do you see that continuing? And what do you see as the end game? When is there success for Israel? And obviously the U.S. also plays a role in this, and they have their own objectives here. What are Israel's, and where is success?
Well, I can see very clearly what Iran is trying to do. It's trying to expand the radius of the fighting to include certainly many countries in the Middle East, no, not just Middle Eastern countries. They fired at Cyprus, they fired at Turkey. But the idea is to get the governments of the Middle East to put pressure on the Trump administration to cease the war. And it may work, it may not work, it actually may boomerang. It may get many of these Middle Eastern countries to join in the war, and that's indications we've received this evening. The end game should be that Iran would no longer threaten Israel, no longer threaten its neighbors. And that threat has three components. It's a nuclear component. It's the ability to make and launch very large ballistic missiles that can take down not just an apartment building, but can take down an entire neighborhood. They're trying to get tens of thousands of these missiles, and support for terror. And that includes in support for Hezbollah, which is a branch of Iran's terror apparatus. and it operates on the orders of Iran. That's what's happening. So what's going on in the north of Israel is a proxy war with Iran.
And we know that the Trump administration has now bypassed Congress to sell 12,000 bombs to Israel. They said it was an emergency, that they needed to do it. What position is Israel in when it comes to ammunitions and its stockpile of weapons?
As far as I know, it's okay. It's always going to be a question whether Israel has enough interceptors because they're firing an awful lot of missiles at us. But so far, we're keeping up with the incoming rounds. I can only tell you, I don't think I'm divulging anything secret. I live not far from Israel's airport. I see the American Galaxy planes landing and taking off, and they're bringing equipment and I imagine also ordnance.
Well, there he is again, the great Michael Oren, and he's fighting this woman back with one hand tied behind his back. I mean, just think about the framing of that entire discussion, an anti-Semitic, anti-Israel discussion in mainstream media from a CNN personality who doesn't know what she's talking about. It seemed to be that the report was focusing on Israel's response to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. But ladies and gentlemen, Hezbollah is a wing of the Iranian government. They are proxies of Iran with thousands upon thousands of missiles just north of Iran. Imagine you lived in New Jersey and in New York State, and New York City for that matter. New York had thousands of missiles waiting to shoot and have shot thousands of missiles over the many years, aiming to murder, maim, destroy, weapons of mass destruction against the New Jersey population. That's exactly what Israel is facing, so to speak, in Lebanon today because of Hezbollah. Interesting to note, recently the Lebanese government is telling Hezbollah to get out. It's the first time in maybe 40 years they're able to do that because Iran is now so weakened because of the war against Iran. Then Hezbollah is just an arm of Iran. Therefore, since they're weaker, now finally Lebanon is demanding the ouster of these people. These people only came 30, 40 years ago to southern Lebanon. These are the Islamic occupation forces. Talking about colonialization and occupation, they've been occupying southern Lebanon for up to 40 years. The Hezbollah soldiers getting thousands of armaments and weapons from Iran and then shooting indiscriminately. I can't say it exactly, but they're aiming for exactly soft targets. Their aim is only for civilian targets. And I've been in Israel the last 9 days since the war started. I'm going in and out of bomb shelters. Missiles are coming from the east from Iran, and they're also coming from the north, shooting down into Israel, hitting Tel Aviv, Haifa, Beersheba, Jerusalem, all around the country. Any place they could hit, they are shooting missiles to destroy Jews, Christians, and Muslims who live in Israel. But you don't hear a peep from CNN. I think that's why, Michael Oren was just so upset. He said, what kind of reporting is this? You're questioning me why Israel's in Lebanon. Israel didn't go to Lebanon before Hezbollah started attacking Israel. It's such a ridiculously, one-sided debate. And it's great to see people like Michael Oren that are actually speaking out and speaking with some intelligence. He's a man who is from the United States originally. He says he lives near Tel Aviv, near the airport. He sees all the American armaments that are coming in. Well, why would America have to help Israel? Because Israel is on the front line fighting for Western civilization right now. The despots of Iran, the despots of Hezbollah, the despots, the mass murderers of Hamas that waged a war of genocide against the Jewish people on October 7th and been doing so for close to 40 years at this point. Israel and America work together because they're both great democracies with Judeo-Christian values. They believe in freedom. They believe in democracy. And Israel has the only democracy in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, Arabs, Christians, and Jews are not free in Iran, as we know, in Syria, in Iraq, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia. There's one place in the Middle East where most people are free, and that's the land of Israel. Jews, Christian, Muslims. There's about 7 or 8 million Jews in Israel. Up to 2 million Muslims or Arabs live in the state of Israel. I see there's doctors I visited who are Arabs. There's lawyers. There's accountants or people in the Israeli parliament called the Knesset that are Arabs. Supreme Court heads have been Arabs and Muslims as well. That's the only place in the Middle East where all these people have the freedom to be who they are and not change who they are actually. And in the other countries, Jews, Christians are considered to be dhimmi. Under Islamic Sharia law, Jews are considered to be second and third class citizens. That's the reality of the Middle East. There's no democracies. There's only racism and hatred against Jews and Christians. There's one place in the Middle East where the Christian population has increased over the last 75 years. That is in Israel. In Lebanon, before the 1970s, there was about a 65% population of Lebanon was Christian until the Islamic fundamentalists moved into southern Lebanon, the Hezbollah and others. And today there's only about 10% of Lebanon are Christians. So that should be the frame of reference for this entire discussion. Unfortunately, CNN mainstream media never reports the bigger picture. They just focus, oh, what are the bad Jews? What are the Israelis doing? What are the Arabs doing? What are the Muslims doing? I hope we'll have some more decent and fair-minded debate in the future, but I think people have to be called out, and clearly Michael Oren was calling out this reporter for ridiculous framing of a conflict which is truly not the fault of the Jewish people in Israel. But of course, I want to hear what you have to say about this, so don't forget to leave your comments below. Subscribe to this channel, and we'll talk to you in future videos.